You think the Navy is all warships, weapons, and action. Think again. What they really do out there, you're not supposed to know. Months at sea, watching, tracking, and surviving in silence, this isn't the Navy you've seen in movies. This is the hidden truth, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. When you're living on a Navy ship for months, every day starts to blend into the next. It's not always action and chaos. A lot of the time, it's routine. Wake up, stand watch, eat, clean, repeat. But even the smallest task has a purpose. Everyone has a job, and that job supports the mission, whether it's engineering, navigation, communications, or even just making sure meals are served. Below the decks, sailors work in engine rooms that feel like saunas, loud, hot, and full of moving parts. Others are fixing radar systems, checking fuel lines, or updating classified logs. The ship runs 24/7, and so does the crew. Sleep is limited. Privacy doesn't exist. Bunks are stacked like shelves. The walls are thin, and the ocean is always moving. You eat fast, you shower faster, and you never really get away from the job. But that's part of the hidden truth. The Navy doesn't just teach you how to fight. It teaches you how to endure, mentally and physically. You're trained to work while tired, to stay calm under stress, and to do your job no matter how boring or hard it gets. That's how missions stay on track. That's how mistakes are avoided. Because even when nothing seems to be happening, the Navy is always working. Most people don't realize how much diplomacy the Navy is involved in. A single ship sailing through international waters sends a message, without a single word. It shows strength. It shows presence. When a U.S. Navy ship appears near a tense region, people take notice. Countries respond. Sometimes with respect, sometimes with warnings. It's a silent language of power. Ships often do joint exercises with allies, where different navies train together to improve coordination. It's not just about firing weapons. It's about showing unity, testing defenses, and building trust. These operations often go unnoticed, but they play a huge role in keeping peace or preparing for war if necessary. There's also humanitarian missions. Navy ships respond to disasters, earthquakes, tsunamis, floods. They bring supplies, medical aid, even helicopters for rescue missions. One week you could be tracking enemy subs. The next, you're saving lives in a devastated country. That contrast is part of the job. Out at sea, the Navy is more than just military force. It's a tool of influence, diplomacy, and protection. And it works without most people ever knowing it. On board a Navy ship, intelligence never sleeps. From the moment the ship leaves port, it becomes a floating eye, constantly watching, listening, and recording. Sailors operate radar, sonar, satellites, and encrypted communications around the clock. Even when the waters look calm, there's constant scanning for enemy submarines, unknown aircraft, or strange signals. Everything is logged, everything is tracked. Deep inside the ship, away from sunlight, is a space called CIC, the Combat Information Center. No windows. Just screens, maps, radios, and silence. The air is cold, the lights are dim, and the people inside are focused. They monitor every contact, every signal, every blip. A fishing boat in restricted waters. Mark it. An aircraft without identification. Track it. A ping from beneath the waves. Notify command. This part of the job isn't glamorous. It's long hours, tight spaces, and full attention. You don't get to zone out. One missed signal can mean danger. And the stress? It builds. You know that one wrong decision, or a late one, could affect the whole ship. But the crew trains for this. They know the pressure. And they handle it in silence. What's surprising is that most of this happens without the public ever hearing about it. Ships will quietly shadow foreign vessels for weeks, sometimes sailing alongside them without anyone firing a shot. They collect data, study patterns, test responses. It's like chess on the open sea, slow, silent, and strategic. Even in so-called peaceful waters, there's tension. No one talks about it. But sailors feel it. They know how fast things can change. One radar signal, one wrong move, one misread communication, and a routine patrol turns into a global headline. That's the hidden truth. Most of the Navy's work isn't in the spotlight. It's in the shadows, where silence means success, and the mission is never really over. Life on a Navy ship isn't just about missions. It's also about survival, mental, emotional, and physical. Days start early, end late, and sometimes, they never really end. There's no break from the job when you live where you work. The ocean doesn't stop, and neither do the responsibilities. Whether it's 2 a.m. or noon, someone is always on watch, and someone is always getting ready to take over. Space is tight. Imagine sleeping in a metal box just a few inches above another person, with nothing but a curtain and a dim red light. Personal space doesn't exist. You hear everything: snoring, footsteps, alarms, conversations. The ship moves constantly, and if the sea is rough, you feel it in your bones. Sleeping is a skill. So is staying sane. Meals are fast and sometimes repetitive. The galley serves hundreds at a time, and there's not much time to sit around. You eat, you clean up, and you move on. Showers are short. Water is limited. Laundry is done when possible, not when you feel like it. Still, sailors find ways to cope. Jokes. Music. Quiet moments during night watch. A letter from home can change everything. Even though the ship is full of people, it can feel lonely. You're thousands of miles away from family, from normal life. Holidays happen, but without your loved ones. Birthdays, anniversaries, even the birth of your child, you might miss it. That's the cost of service. But this life also creates a bond. You rely on the people around you, and they rely on you. It's not about friendship, it's about trust. You train together, suffer together, get through it together. That's how a Navy crew survives the sea, the stress, and the silence. Most people will never understand what that feels like. But for those who've lived it, they carry that experience for the rest of their lives. Out at sea, the Navy's mission can change in an instant. One day, it's routine operations, training, monitoring, drills. The next, it's responding to a real-world crisis. That's the part many people don't see. Navy ships aren't just for war, they're also first responders, peacekeepers, and silent protectors. When a natural disaster hits a coastal area, like a tsunami or earthquake, a Navy ship might be the first help to arrive. Helicopters launch with supplies. Medics prepare for emergency care. Sailors build temporary shelters, repair broken docks, and deliver food and clean water. These missions happen quickly, without much news coverage, but they change lives. It's not just about helping people, it's about showing the world that power can be used for good. Other times, the ship's presence itself is the message. Sailing near hostile waters. Passing through narrow, disputed seas. The Navy doesn't always need to speak. Its presence says enough. When a carrier strike group appears on the horizon, nations notice. It reminds everyone that the U.S. Navy is watching, and it's ready, even if it hopes never to act. And behind all this, behind the power, the steel, and the technology, are people. Young sailors, many of them just out of high school. Some join for opportunity. Some join for purpose. Others just needed a new path. But once they're out at sea, they're part of something bigger. They work in silence, without recognition, far from the spotlight. No applause. No headlines. Just the sound of the ocean, the vibration of engines, and the steady rhythm of duty. This is what the Navy really does at sea. It watches. It waits. It defends. It helps. And it keeps the world just a little more balanced, often without anyone realizing it. There's a moment every sailor remembers, standing on the deck, looking out over endless water, no land in sight. Just sky, sea, and silence. It's peaceful, but also powerful. Because that's when it hits you. You're not just floating on water. You're part of something massive. A force that protects, watches, and responds, even when no one's watching. Most of what the Navy does stays out of the public eye. You won't see it in the news. You won't hear about the silent encounters with foreign ships, the long nights tracking invisible threats, or the hours spent fixing one piece of gear just to keep the mission going. There's no glory in routine. But routine is what keeps everything running. Sometimes, a ship finishes a 6-month deployment and nobody even notices. No battles fought. No headlines made. But that's actually a success. Because peace, in many cases, is the result of quiet strength. Ships deter conflict just by being present. They stop trouble before it starts. And that story doesn't get told enough. The Navy is more than a fighting force. It's discipline. It's sacrifice. It's patience. It's resilience. It's people doing hard things in hard places, far from home, for months at a time, so that others don't have to. And when they come home, sunburned, exhausted, changed, they do it quietly. No spotlight. No parade. Just a return to normal, knowing they did their part. That's the hidden truth of life at sea. It's not just about what you do. It's about what your presence prevents. What your silence means. And what it takes to keep the ocean safe, mile by mile, day by day. So the next time you see a Navy ship on the news, or a sailor walking through an airport in uniform, remember this: most of their work was done far away from cameras, in places you'll never see, under conditions you'll never fully understand. They sailed through storms, through tension, through silence. They missed birthdays, holidays, family dinners, because duty doesn't wait. They stood watch while the world slept. They answered calls that never made headlines. And they kept going, even when no one was watching. What the Navy really does at sea isn't always heroic in the way movies show. Sometimes, it's just staying sharp through boredom. Fixing the same broken valve for the 5th time. Training for the 1,000th drill. Sitting in front of a radar screen for hours, waiting for something that might never happen. But that's what keeps the world steady. That's what prevents chaos. It's not the loud moments that define service. It's the quiet ones. The steady ones. The forgotten ones. To everyone who served at sea, past and present, thank you. And to those who never knew what life out there was really like. Now, maybe, you do. If this gave you a deeper understanding of Navy life, don't let it stop here. Hit that like button to support the voices that go unheard. Subscribe if you want more real, raw stories from behind the uniform. And drop a comment below: what surprised you the most about life at sea? Share this video with someone who thinks Navy life is just about action and explosions. Let them see the full picture. Because sometimes, the most powerful stories are the ones no one tells.